Welcome to Safety Chats, a podcast from Portside Safety and Compliance by Baldwin. Each episode brings real-world experience, practical insight, and honest conversations about safety in aviation and beyond. Let's get started with this week's Safety Chat.
Welcome, everybody. This is Portside Safety by Baldwin, Safety Chats, and my name is Anne-Marie Salazzo, and I'm one of the senior safety managers here at Portside. We have joining us a fellow safety manager, Todd Thomas, and we have someone new to the team. His name is Ryan Smith. So, Todd, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, thank you, Anne-Marie. And we're so excited today to have on this podcast a new member of our team. And his name is Ryan Smith, and we're just so excited that he is with us. And we want to introduce you to him, and we want to learn more about him. And so you'll see what expertise he brings to the team here at Portside Baldwin. So, Ryan, I think I'll just start out, ask you just to tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into aviation safety.
Well, thanks for the introduction, Todd, man. It's great working with you guys. So a brief introduction and where I'm coming from as far as safety. I spent almost 23 years in the U.S. Air Force. During that time, I basically started at the bottom of maintenance, doing basic line maintenance, worked myself into doing phase inspections, which are ISO inspections, heavy maintenance inspections on fighter aircraft, and then worked my way up into being a director of maintenance for the Air Force. After that, I kind of pivoted because I really wanted to get into safety after being introduced into my first safety course. And then I became what's known as a flight safety NCO or a flight safety manager for the Air Force. I did that for almost 8.5 years until I retired. And then I transitioned into Part 121 supplemental operation. I used that expertise and that experiences that I had in the Air Force to help me out with that Part 121 transition, which was a great transition with great people and great mentors.
Awesome, Ryan. Hey, first of all, too, thank you for your service, Ryan. I'm also a veteran, so I can appreciate that. And I really wanted to ask, too, was there a moment, though, in your career where you realized just how important SMS really is?
Absolutely. So as mechanic, safety is interwoven into all our operations, just as ops. But, when I took my first safety course and I took my first investigation course, I realized kind of like the blinders came off. And I saw for the first time in my career just how much of an impact safety can truly have on operations and maintenance in general. When we started looking through historical incidents and accidents that had happened in the Air Force and what changes they had made, what recommendations were put forth, and the quick nature that these recommendations were carried out really had an impact on me because I saw for the first time that, the company that I worked for in that point, the Air Force that I worked for, really truly cared about changing direction when they saw there was issues with the policies and procedures they already had in place.
I think that, and Anne-Marie will probably vouch for this as well, but not only does aviation get in our blood, but safety. Like once I got introduced and migrated into the safety side of the aviation world that I was in, I just really took a liking to it and realized the importance. So it sounds like you've kind of been on that same track, Ryan.
Absolutely. And, I think most safety professionals are people's person too. We enjoy helping others, and this is my way of doing that. I really enjoy helping build that positive safety culture of trust and quick and thorough execution of issues that we have, as an industry.
I definitely see where you're coming from. It's kind of like I'm trying to bridge the gap. You coming from a military background and then you transferred over into the civilian world. So with that transition, there had to be some sort of difference and changes in thought processes. When it comes to the civilian world, in your experience, what was the biggest misconception that you found that operators are having about SMS? Because is it a process problem or a culture problem? Military is very regimented and SOPs, processes. Civilian world is a little bit different. So can you maybe expand upon that?
Absolutely. So in the military, safety, like I was saying with our maintenance, it's very interwoven into the whole culture of, in my case, maintenance. But as I later found out when I became a safety manager for the Air Force, it's interwoven into ops too. You just don't see it as much because you're focused on your own, widget, in my case, maintenance. But, as I moved to the 121 world side, the huge misconception that I saw right away was the issue with their safety culture. So basically, my experience from 121, the leadership elements or your stakeholders, a lot of them believe that the sole responsibility of the safety department, which, as you know, as safety professionals, is fundamentally flawed. It takes a whole company to be totally infused in safety for it to be effective and actionable. So I see it more, it's a process problem and a cultural problem, and they feed into each other. What have you guys seen as far as that in your experiences?
From my end, it takes team effort. SMS is a
Sure.
team sport, and that's what I always tell every operator I work with directly is that, okay, well, let's look at how everybody's been trained, first of all, and what their attitudes are, and what's the workload that a safety manager is being faced with, and you kind of get a good feel of what the overall operation is like based on those simple questions.
Mhm.
So it is, once you get people turned over into that it's a team effort, it changes the entire game of how SMS is implemented and how SMS is viewed in that operation. And it becomes part of the culture.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about that culture build.
Oh, yeah, that's it. And, you hear the term old school sometimes. I know that I experienced that in my safety journey, being over, with a carrier that the 121 world had not migrated to SMS yet. So we kept kicking the old can down the road, proverbially. Then it came a day where the FAA said, you can't do that anymore. Here's your deadline. And so, and then you're right, though. I did find that they looked just to the safety department to do it all. And it was a monumental task there initially, but you're right. And then our job there at that point was to build that team effort and get that buy-in, as we all say. So once you get that buy-in and using our people skills, like you said earlier, Ron, is a big plus. We're able to help pull all of that together. And then ultimately we can get ownership of, SMS in all the departments and from each and every individual. So yeah, I know exactly what you've been through there, Ryan. So pretty similar experiences, it sounds like, for all of us. When we talk about, the employees, have you found any good ways or tricks of the trade that you can help get employees comfortable with reporting safety issues? It has been a challenge for me in the past. And so I'd love to get your thoughts on that if you've had any success there.
Absolutely. Hey, good question, Don. So what I've noticed, and I saw this in my military career too, it's that communication piece right from the start. You want to start things off at the very beginning, and that when you're doing that NDOC, those new employees coming in, you want to get safety in their face immediately. You want to show them how you are involved and how you require them to be involved. So it's setting that tone from day one, helping to build that culture and that trust. Most importantly, the trust of your employees, or the way I see them is my customers, as a safety manager, my customers.
Mhm.
And the only way you can truly have that trust with them is to stay current with them, know them as a person. And I know it's really hard when you're talking these large 121 operations. It's pretty easy, in these smaller 135 operations where you might only have 20 or 30 people tops, it's a small operation. When you're talking 500, 600, 700 people in an operation, it gets a lot harder. But that
Yes.
should never stop you as a safety manager from reaching out to folks, from actually being engaged when they submit those safety reports, being engaged in those safety reports, asking for feedback, showing them that when these safety reports are submitted, there's actual things that are happening. Communicate that to your employees, and that's why having our like software like Baldwin, our
Mhm.
SMS platform, that's why it's really nice to have that, because it allows them to send you communications and you take action as a safety manager, and they can see that it allows transparency to them and shows them that the process that you have taught them in initial training is actually working. They're seeing it live happen in front of their face. Those corrective actions, the mitigations that we're taking to take care of that issue that they're worried about. It's important that your customers know that they're being taken care of.
And that culture, you just said it right there. And I think, what you really pointed out, that there is a difference between having a reporting system and actually having a reporting culture.
Exactly.
So the follow-up is so critical. You touched on that, Ryan, and you can't just accept the report in and it goes into the void and they never hear anything back from it. So that is so critical too. As you were saying, they're your clients or customers, as a director of safety or manager of safety. So the big thing is to close that loop and let them know what's being done. Let them see the results. And that should encourage, more and more reporting.
Yeah. And I mean, the way I used to do it, I would push out safety bulletins. And especially if it was something that we learned that was new, that was like, oh, wow, we didn't see that, that's something we can fix our processes and procedures to correct on. We would push it out through a safety bulletin, and I would direct that safety bulletin to whatever applicable party it was. Was it a flight attendant issue? Was it a company-wide issue? Was it a pilot issue? Was it maintenance? I could direct those in our bulletin feature. I could direct that spotlight to where I needed to be. And and that's what you need. That's what I would want to see if I was sitting outside the safety department. If I had a true concern, I would want to make sure that wherever I was pushing my concern to, 1, the report was taken seriously. 2, we were practicing true just culture, and we're not using these reports to retaliate against people, which is super important, right?
It is.
Having that just culture, as long as they were doing what they needed to be doing and there was no criminal nature involved in it, my job as a safety professional is to protect you. Because if I lose that trust and that protection, I lose you. And then not only do I lose you by word of mouth, I'm going to lose a lot more. And then your safety culture just plummets. So
great insight, Ryan. Yeah, great insight.
Well, and I'll just expand on to the team sport of SMS. The leadership has to really recognize that if they're doing their job and they're doing their leadership position and you're faced with this daunting task of keeping an SMS system alive, but their role in it is crucial to support the safety manager in that promotion and to back them up when it is needed. So if there is any lapse in those safety reporting feedback or actions within the portal, it lands on them too. So it's not having a safety manager be that siloed position.
Correct. Yes.
yeah, most agree.
Really great conversations. And I'm really happy that you've joined our team here. I really, really am, right?
Me too. Yeah, I'm excited to have you again,
I'm
Ryan.
super excited to be part of this awesome team too, believe me.
Yeah. And I know before we were prepping this meeting, I said I was going to throw you any curveballs, but I decided against that.
I like it.
That's Anne-Marie.
Yeah, I'm the wild card here.
She keeps you on their toes. So.
I keep everybody on their toes. That's why
You're-
I love what I do. So before we close things out, because we're going to close things out on a more serious note, but we now know where you're at when it comes to your ethics and your drive and everything like that. But I want the listening base to know a little bit more about yourself. So can you give us where you're actually hailing from right now? So when you have to field everybody, they know where you are. And then I'm going to ask you 3 questions. Okay. So where are you at and where do you hail from?
So I am originally from Daytona Beach, Florida. Lived on the east coast of Florida my whole life until joining the military. But after retirement, my wife needed to work in a facility that is only available in certain areas. So we ended up moving to Crestview, Florida, which is about 20 minutes away from Destin. So up in the Panhandle. So great place to retire.
Nice and warm as opposed to the Northeast where I am. Okay. First curveball. What is your favorite pastime or hobby?
Favorite pastime or hobby? Well, I got a couple loves and hobbies. So I would say my first my first hobby is fly fishing. I love fly fishing. I can only relate it to playing golf, right? It's the most frustrating sport in the world when you're first starting. And even when you've been doing it a while, like I have, it's still frustrating, but you get so much enjoyment when you have a beautiful day out on a river and it's just you and nature and very lightweight materials. The rod and reel that I use is really light, so it doesn't take up a lot of weight. It doesn't take up a lot of space. You can walk into these gorgeous rivers, and actually I use it as my meditation.
Very cool.
I can see that. Oh, yes. I would love that part of it for sure.
That's awesome.
It's a very good way to decompress all the struggles and reality of life for a couple hours. So
Nice.
that's one of my true passions. I love fly fishing. I love being out in nature. And one of my other favorite hobbies, I do wreck dives. So all our divers out there, I like doing wreck dives. So I've dove in part of being in the military, and one of the perks, I guess. I've dove some of the sunken ships out there, the Tucamaru and the Cormoran, which
Very
are the
cool.
only two warships in the world that are touching from different wars, from World War I and World War II. So it's the only place in the world where you can touch two sunk warships, which is super cool. I got a picture of it. But yeah, I enjoy diving. I
That's
can't do
awesome.
it that much now with kids and all that. But yeah, definitely one of my true hobbies there. And then obviously as a family man, I spend a lot of time with, my wife and our three girls and helping grow their love in aviation, just like my love for aviation exists.
Oh, that's awesome.
So important.
Very important.
Me and my wife definitely spend a lot of time and money making sure our girls stay in their love for aviation. So
That's
and
great.
continue on with their growth.
You won't regret.
Yeah.
Yep.
Curveball number 2. Last book you read.
Oh my Lord. So
Had a hard time on that one, Ryan.
to be honest with you, the last book that I read was actually a book called A Solution Focused Culture. So a book that I picked up a while ago, but I don't read a lot of books as much as I pull information from, digital surfaces. So,
Yeah.
and that's a shame for me because I definitely wish I had the time and bandwidth to read books.
You know what? I only asked because I only just started reading again because I needed to get back into my love of reading.
Yeah.
Something that's not aviation related or on a screen. Okay. So that's why I asked the question. And the last question, your favorite show to binge watch?
Oh my Lord. Favorite show to binge watch?
Yeah.
And don't say air disasters for
Yes.
So
Since you're going to start
especially
laughing.
my favorites.
yeah, so air disasters, and it's funny you say that.
You're kidding.
Me and my youngest daughter, she wants to be an aerospace engineer like her big sister. She is absolutely addicted to air disasters. I mean, to the point
Oh,
of
boy.
where I'm trying to relax and I'm just trying to flush my mind of anything safety just to kind of disengage from everything.
watching that?
And my daughter will turn it on and I'm like, hey, can we watch something that let's turn on cartoons or something.
Yeah.
Like, no, I want to watch air disasters. I was like, all right, well, let's turn on air disasters.
Well,
I was like, and
You
and
can escape it.
it's funny too, because her little mind, she's already looking for the root cause of stuff. So I was like, well, maybe you follow my footsteps and you become a trained investigator.
So depending on her age, we're looking at another safety manager for Portside in the near future.
You never know.
I think it's actually a good lead-in to kind of close things out since we went over from air disasters. So thinking of all those safety managers that were in those positions, my goodness, imagine. So in all seriousness, to get just back on track of our podcast, moving forward, as one of our colleagues, you're going to be in touch with a lot of other safety managers out there. If a safety manager is listening right now and feels overwhelmed, where do you think they should start first?
So when I first started out as a brand new safety manager, one of the things that I experienced right away that I can promise you 99.9% of all safety managers will feel is they will feel absolutely overwhelmed because there's so much chaos going on in the safety department. There's stuff everywhere. It seems you spin around and it's all around you. There's always issues going on. But what you have to do is what I learned, and I had some great mentors that are still mentors to this day, even though and my main mentor's stationed in Hungary right now. He's the air attaché for the Hungarian embassy. So you have to stop, and you just have to take one bite at a time.
I was going to say that.
And I know it's so hard to do when you're in a room full of people and they're all screaming at you at the top of their lungs, and you just have to like mute everything out.
Yep.
And you just have to focus on one thing. Become the subject matter expert on that one thing. Now, I'm not saying you have to drop all your other stuff. You can't do that. But you need to focus your efforts in trying to figure out one thing you're trying to fix. Is it a culture thing? Try to fix the culture thing right away, and then work to perfecting that and getting it where you can use it as a safety manager effectively.
Yeah.
And then once you get to that point, step to another thing. Figure out another area that you want to focus on. And then eventually you will have those 4 components that comprise part 5. You will have all those 4 components mastered, or at least to a point of where you are super comfortable, and those that integrate or fall into your sphere of influence, you can get them comfortable. So that's the hardest part, is trying to blank out all the crazy noise when you first get into a safety department. Now, I'll use this as a shameful plug. So one of the key things of these safety managers, because the vast majority of safety managers, especially brand new safety managers coming in, a lot of the times it's a voluntary thing. Hey, you're going to go do this. You're going to be the safety person for our company. And it might be just a maintenance guy or a brand new pilot that's getting pushed into that position. Now, they have a safety background by default because they understand some parts of safety, but understanding parts of safety and managing a safety department, they're 2 different things.
Correct.
So I highly encourage that if you're that young safety professional and you just got pushed into a spot or, moved into a spot, seek out good SMS training. We offer a safety certificate program that I recently just had finished, and it's a great program. It's 12 courses that cover basically everything in SMS that you would need as an SMS professional. And having that kind of knowledge background, even though I already had that prior, I wanted to see this new company that I came into, Portside by Baldwin, what they offered. So I wanted to see it for myself.
It's great.
And it is. It's a great product, and I highly encourage new safety managers to reach out and get that kind of training, because it'll benefit you immensely in a brand new position.
Also finding that key mentor, whether it be within a company itself or an outside source, going to different going to conferences and meeting different safety managers is also key. In my experience, it's really important to have a sounding board. And of course, we are here. If you needed to have a sounding board for anyone out there listening, we are here as safety managers for you. So give us a call if you need us. As I guess we're shamelessly plugging at this point, but that's okay. But really, truly, I think us as a team, the 3 of us, we're all of the same mindset of that we're here to help. And I don't care if you have your SMS written on a napkin. Some operators do, but safety managers always help safety managers. And if you know the company next door on your airfield and you just start up the conversation. You're not alone in any frustration that you have. When you said that, take a bite out of it, one bite at a time. I was a brand new director and met with an underwriter, and he said to me, he goes, I know it's a lot. And I go, yeah. I mean, he's like, all right, you know how you eat an elephant? And I go, how? One bite at a time.
That's right.
That's
Got to
how
do.
So in closing, Ryan, thank you so much for coming on and letting us pick your brain. And Todd, do you have anything else to say before we sign off?
No, spot on. I hope that all of our passion comes through, and I can definitely hear it in. So I think once we got that safety bug, it has just stuck with us. So we use that passion to help in your organization. It'll come through and it'll be very beneficial. But Ryan, again, wonderful to have you here on our team, and look forward to working with you here in the future.
Yeah, it truly is. I appreciate y'all's time today. It truly is wonderful to work for this Portside Safety by Baldwin team. So I can't express to you how excited I am to help make our customers make it an even more enjoyable product and service. So
Well, thank
Absolutely.
you so much. Thank you so much for joining us and getting to know us in our various meetings that we have set up. You're never going to be bored. All right.
No.
On behalf of everybody here at Portside Safety by Baldwin, thank you for joining Safety Chats. Keep doing what you're doing. You're appreciated. And stay safe, everyone. Have a great, great day.
This podcast is brought to you by Portside Safety and Compliance by Baldwin, the leader in safety management for the transportation industry. Since 2004, Baldwin has been providing state-of-the-art solutions and 24/7 support to the aviation and transportation industries. Baldwin's clients include all sizes and types of transportation operators. Baldwin provides safety and related business services to commercial, charter, medical transporters, FBOs, MROs, airports, flight schools, UAS operators, firefighters, OEMs, ground transport operators, and others. Visit baldwinsms.com to discover how Baldwin can enhance your organization's safety program.